Inland Sports.
And now join us here on the Inland Sports Show as we get to talk some wrestling with Paloma Valley Wildcats head coach Luis Robles. And Coach, man, welcome to the show. Always good checking in with you and Paloma Valley as they have been having another great season on the mat. Before we talk about some significant matches that you just had, what do you think makes this year's team maybe special or unique? What do you like about this year's squad specifically?
I mean, honestly, I guess the answer is not what you're looking for. It's not anything unique. It's what we've been doing for years. It's just we've been building on the fact that team first, individual second, which is not necessarily what most programs do or what you think of when you hear of wrestling. Wrestling's usually all about the individual. But a long time ago, a really smart coach told me that, the crazy thing about wrestling is you do 99% of things in wrestling as a team. The only thing you do alone is go out and compete. You warm up together, you practice together, you go to the meets together, you hang out in the bleachers together. Most of what you do is until you cross that line and then you're wrestling, 6 minutes or longer or shorter on your own. And so that's one thing we've been preaching. And so, I think early on, we didn't have that with the group. We had a couple tough losses early in the year, but now we're back to that kind of team first mentality. And, there was a lot of kids that have done some things for the team already, whether it's getting down to weight or wrestle while they're banged up to make sure that the team comes first.
Coach, I love that answer. That's a smart answer. Like, when I ask you what's different about this team, you're like, well, it might sound boring, but this team is buying into what we always do, and you guys have had a ton of success. So obviously, if it ain't broke, don't fix it, right? Like, keep doing what we're doing, guys.
Yep.
Well, Coach, listen, you just had Lakeside in an Ivy League, duel in a match, and Lakeside at the time was number 3, I think, in Division I.
Yep.
And you guys, I think you were like maybe around the top 10, right? Like an at-large.
We were honorable mention. So, yeah, we were like 11, 12 area.
So right there on the cusp of the top 10. I know it was a dramatic finish. It came down to that final match, and your guy won by pin. But what did that mean? What did that match mean for the team? I know we talk so much about individuals in wrestling, but what did that match mean for this team to maybe, I don't know, restore confidence or maybe build some momentum for the rest of the season? What did that match mean?
It meant a lot, honestly. Like, we all got really hyped for it. We kind of were looking forward to it from the start of the season. We didn't know where we'd be at, if they were going to be ranked high or we were going to be ranked higher or lower than them. But, with the Ivy, it's part of the Rain Cross Conference. And the one thing that's unique that, I'll be honest, I don't love about it is you don't get the old school rivalries as much. We're wrestling teams, like Hillcrest that are way far from us. Canyon Springs, we've developed a really good rivalry, but they're not necessarily close to us. But with Lakeside, they were in our old league. They were in our old Sun Belt, and they're, not necessarily super close, but they're basically across the 15 from us. And a lot of our kids see each other in off-season tournaments. They might, cross paths at club matches and stuff like that. So that's a rivalry for us. And we haven't wrestled them a couple of years because they were down in the Sun Belt the last couple of years. So they came up. And just to be honest, our kids wanted that match. Like, they didn't want to hear the trash talk. Like, we see these kids everywhere. We see these coaches everywhere. So it was a little bit of more of a rivalry than the league title or anything like that. Like, we weren't looking forward to, if we lost, hearing them run their mouth. And so we wanted that win bad. So for our team, it meant a lot. It was more that. And the chip on our shoulder, when we got ranked honorable mention and they were third, I always think we wrestle best with the chip on our shoulder. And our kids, like, they took that chip on their shoulder seriously. Like, they were like, why are they number 3? Why not us?
Man, a little bit of an underdog role for the Wildcats in that one. Coach, I don't have like the Ivy League schools for wrestling in front of me, but okay, so you guys, Lakeside, Canyon Springs, Hillcrest, who am I missing?
Hammett High School.
Oh, Hammett as well. So,
and that's the 5.
So what did that mean in terms of the league championship race? What did that mean? I mean, does it come down to you guys in Canyon Springs? I don't know if you've wrestled them already.
So Canyon Springs wrestled Lakeside. They lost a really close match as well. I think the final score was 36-34.
Wow.
Came down to the last match. So Lakeside won. So right now, if we beat Emmett on Wednesday, we will clinch at least a share. But to get it outright, we need to beat Canyon Springs on Friday. So we have Canyon Springs this Friday. So Hemet Wednesday, clinch a share. Canyon Springs Friday, we clinch the whole thing. So obviously, we're just looking to Hemet right now for Wednesday.
Listen, I know there's some great, wrestling programs around, Big 8 League. There's some really good schools over there. Temecula Valley has had a ton of success as well. But the Ivy League, I mean, at least in your own estimate, is it maybe the best high school wrestling league in the area?
I think it is, and especially when you factor in both the boys and the girls. But mostly talking the boys right now, it is. I mean, I think the Big 8 is still one of the better leagues in the area. They're really good. They got Centennials this year. Norco's really strong. Roosevelt's 1CF. So, that's probably the next big league, I think, and then the Southwest. But I just think, when we get to the CIF race, I think Lakeside, us, Canyon Springs are all going to be the top 3 out of 4 teams at our individual CIF. So it is a powerful league. Last year, Canyon Springs won CIF duels and individuals. We were runner-up. So, Lakeside won CIF 2 years ago. So, these are all teams that are not just competing for a league title. We're competing for CIF titles. So, yeah, I would definitely say it's one of the top 5 leagues in our whole southern section.
All right, Kate. So with that said, I mean, what are the goals for this team, boys and girls? Is it CIF? I mean, first league title, obviously, but CIF. You have a certain number of individuals you'd like to see reach state. I mean, what's kind of the goals?
So boys side, our biggest goal is to try and win CIF. I mean, I just say try and win CIF because our biggest goal is always just do the best we can, keep improving, team first, all those things. So, and me and Coach Marshall, my big assistant, we've kind of noticed that the more we push a specific goal, sometimes, kids freak out towards the end. So we've made it more about just getting better. And if we're good enough to win it, we'll win it. And if we're not, we'll just keep going back to work and getting better. So, but I mean, we do believe we can win a CF title on the boys side. We're going to mostly focus on the individual CF title after we clinch, hopefully clinch our league championship. So on the girls side, we're definitely looking to compete for a CF title. We lost to Hillcrest in the duels, so we will have to beat Hemet to create a 3-way tie for the league championship. But Hillcrest is a D1 team too, so we're in D2. So we're hoping we can compete for a D2 CF duels title, which we'll be defending for the girls side. So those are kind of main goals. But again, we have been mostly talking about just getting better and just enjoying the moment, being a team and doing all the right things. Because sometimes I think when we get too goal-oriented, then all we care about is wins and losses. And sometimes, some of those things are out of control. If you, break a leg, you can't control that, right? You trained hard. It's not because you had a lack of training. And then that could hurt you. That happened to us last year. We had a kid get really, really sick at league finals, and he couldn't compete at CIF. And we ended up losing the CIF title by 16 team points, which could have been that individual. So we're just going to go out there. We're going to compete hard. We're going to do the best we can. And, if we're good enough to win it, we'll win it.
All right, Coach, finally, you talked about, to piggyback off what you just said, talking about getting better, progressing, getting better, day by day, practice by practice, match by match. It sounds like it was a little bit of a rocky start to the season, but on the heels of that huge win against Lakeside, I mean, do you feel like this team is getting better and improving as the season gets farther along?
I definitely think so. I mean, I'm not going to say anything about any programs directly because it might not be the coaches or anything, but we always feel that we peak at the right time and we see other programs, they start amazing. They're winning tournaments early, but then they kind of burn out at the end. And our focus is always, towards the end. But yeah, we lost to Servite in a really close match. I mean, they're great, but we lost close to them. We lost to Birmingham and, they ended up kind of running away with it, but, we had shots to beat them in a couple weights. So we've had some losses or even some wins where we didn't wrestle our best, but we definitely feel like we're peaking at the right time. We've been holding guys out. So Lakeside was the first time we had a complete team on the boys' side. Girls, Hillcrest was the first time we had a complete team. So we've kind of been, methodical with holding guys out, holding girls out, healing injuries, not burning them out. Some of them, we've got some kids that have had some severe stuff going on at home or different things. And so, we're not like, we know this happened at home, but suck it up and go, kill yourself for this individual match. We're like, no. Take the weekend off. Let's refocus. Come back on Monday.
Well, Coach, listen, continued success, man. Always appreciate the time. Love talking some wrestling with you guys. Best of luck. Sounds like a big week coming up for you guys in terms of that league, that first step, right?
Yeah, it's a big week. It's we want that match with Canyon Springs back. There, it's weird because Coach Lowe over there is one of my best friends, and so we know those kids, but not as well as the kids out, Lakeside and this area. But like, it's a friendly rivalry. Like, our kids want that match back. We lost to them last year, came down last match, so it is a big week for us. But in the end, it's a fun week for us. I like seeing Coach Lowe and competing against them, and we always are in good spirits after the match.
So that one on Friday, is it in the Fee or is it in Moval?
It's out here. It's at Paloma.
All right, so it could be all on the line out there,
Yep.
Paloma Valley on Friday night. That is Luis Robles, the head wrestling coach for Paloma Valley here on the Inland Sports Show. Thank you so much, Coach. Let's hopefully do this again down the road. Maybe you'll have some hardware to show me.
I hope so. I mean, that's the goal. So I'll hit you up.
All right, that's Coach Robles here on the Inland Sports Show. Inland Sports.